From that day to the end of January this year, I've worked for a paycheck. I've worked over 71 years.
Wow, isn't that fantastic?
And I guess the only bragging I really think about doing it is I never had to collect unemployment.
So what'd you do for a living?
Well, when I first got out, I worked for Safeway stores for 14 years. I was a clerk, and then I was eventually assistant manager. And then in January of '66, I got a job as a banker.
Oh, no kidding.
And I was a banker for 22 years. I was started out as a teller. I was the head teller. Then I was an assistant cashier. Then I was assistant vice president.
Wow.
And then they deregulated the banks in Montana here in the late '80s. Before that time, there was no such thing as branch banking in Montana, believe it or not. They deregulated it. The bankers really changed their picture. We went from 124 employees down to 10. And that was because of the computer world and a lot of different
They're still
reasons.
cutting the gangster.
And now practically all the banks in Montana are branch banks. But anyway, that's how this starts. But anyway, and I came to Montana. I was born in South Dakota in September 30th, 1929. But anyway, we came to Montana when I was 5 years old in 1934. And in South Dakota, my dad worked for his brother-in-law as a ranch hand, and he got $1 a day and room and board. And there was 5 in our family. My mother taught country school grades 1 through 8 for 13 years. But when we came to Montana, she couldn't teach anymore because in those days you couldn't transfer your credits.
Yeah.
So anyway, we came to Montana at a place called Harlowton. I don't know if you know.
What's it called?
Harlowton. It's in central Montana. It was a great railroad town in its day, but that kind of went to hell too. But anyway, I'll never forget, as a 5-year-old, I'd never seen a 2-storied house because we lived 60 miles out in the country. And there was 5 of us. We lived in a 2-room house, no plumbing, no electricity, no water. And anyway, when we came to Montana, it was like coming to heaven because we had plumbing and everything. But we had this 2-storied house, and I'd never been in a 2-storied house. And I was a 5-year-old. I was climbing up and down on my hands and knees. Crazy. And anyway, this picture here is this is a statue that my old platoon sergeant gave me. He got hit in the neck over there, and I patched him up. The bullet went through the side of his neck. And I was so worried I was going to choke him because I had to put the bandage around his neck. And anyway, then when a couple of Marines packed him down, I got him out of shock and I got him bandaged up, and it was so cold that practically nobody bled at all. It froze before anything. But in 1990 at a reunion, he gave me this little statue that he had made for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And anyway, my platoon sergeant, he passed away a few years back. But they packed him down the hill, and they came under fire, and they dropped him. He fell and he busted 3 ribs. When they finally got him down to the bottom, he was one of 150 guys that they helicoptered 14 miles to the main division point. And anyway, I didn't see him again from then until 1990.
Huh.
And he was so his feet were so badly frostbit in that 14-mile helicopter ride that the wound damaged some nerves, but his feet was so frostbite they cut off all of his toes and part of his heels.
Wow.
And that was my old friend Pappenheimer.
Wow.
And then, but anyway, then the story goes on. It tells about my personal life. Let's see, is this right?
Dick, I don't know this.
How did you keep all of that? I mean, like, you kept.
Well, there's an organization we have that's called the Chosen Few.
I know.
The survivors of this.
I know.
And a lot of, they've printed a lot of stuff.
I think the president just passed away last week.
Yeah,
Mr.
what-
Mr. Beasley.
Did he pass away? Why is it? I just got a thing that some of the others passed through. There's a DVD of the Chosen that I have, that if you ever see it, it's really
When I went to Portland, Oregon, I met about eight, nine of the chosen few.
uh-huh, yeah. Let's see. This was part of my presentation here. In this issue of the National Geographic, they had an article about General MacArthur.
You gotta send a
Page
copy up
70,
to the
but
Standard.
in this article, 79,
Your
where am
wife
I at
did.
here? Right here.
Wow.
I gotta put my glasses on better. But anyway, in his article, one of the last things in it was this picture of this fellow here, and his name was Ed Reeves. And I met him, and he was the survivor up there. The Army damn near got wiped out. Of 3,500 guys that was in this one spot in the Army, only 900 of them survived. And he was one of them. And he was wounded, and his hands and feet were frozen. He crawled on his hands and knees across a frozen reservoir. Then the Marines picked him up. And when he finally got medical care, they cut off all of his fingers and thumbs on both hands and cut off his feet. And this picture here shows him getting prosthesis here. And anyway, plus he had 5 bullet holes in him, if you can imagine that. And the funniest thing happened to me, I guess it was last year, about a year ago, maybe a little less, more in the fall, closer to our Marine Corps birthday date in November. I was parked out here at the mall, and I've got a chosen few sticker on my car, and I was waiting for Lil and Randy. They were in the department store, and this little girl rapped on my window. I rolled down the window, and she says, "Were you at the Chosen Reservoir?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "My dad was too." She says, "I'll bet you know him." I said, "What was his name?" And she said, "Ed Reeves."
Oh.
And the first time I met him was in Las Vegas in 1990, and he was in a wheelchair. And that night, I went up to my room and I thought, God, what would it be like to be all cut up like that? But he was one of many. But anyway, he got his prosthesis stuff. He went back to Illinois, where he was from. He became a preacher. He had 7 kids before it. But this little girl was his, yeah, this little girl was his daughter here that looked me up in Butte. And so, and they lived up in the Twin Bridges area. And her husband was an ex-Navy SEAL, and they were forming a church up there. And so when we had the Marine Corps birthday that year, I invited them down for the birthday, and I told a story about their dad. Were you there then? Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that was in this magazine.
That's fantastic.